What's up, fam? Extraordinary Life with Elijah. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, this will be really familiar to you. I did this video a while ago, but coming back to the origins because I learned a new lesson. Back in October of 2018, I made a video and said that if you keep your eyes focused on the face of God, that you're looking full into His face. This is we're to look into His face as in a mirror, and that the light of His glory will transform us. If we look to Him to receive revelation on who we are and who He's made us to be in Him, that we're not going to get disoriented. That if I look away from you guys, from this camera, and I start trying to focus on everything that's going by me so fast, oh man, I can't focus on it. I'm not gaining any vision. But if I just look straight into my camera with you guys, bam, I'm rock solid. I'm not getting dizzy. I'm just oriented to you, oriented to this spot. I think the fun part of going round and round with the changing exposures too is that if we're not always facing towards the throne, if we're not always facing towards Jesus and orienting ourselves to Him and what He is saying, there's a changing light of revelation on our faces, that we're to look into His face and that the radiance of His countenance is to illuminate our faces, much like Moses, who came out of the temple and that his face was glowing. As we orient ourselves to the countenance of our Father and the throne, that light of His presence is going to stay constant on our face. But if we just get spun up in the world, with all the spin of what's happening in the earth right now, there's going to be the changing light and shadow on our faces as we spin in chorus with the world. There's not a consistent message. Oh, so good. Now it's time to get off of the swing. Whew, I'll tell you what. Oh, that will make you dizzy. I remember when I was younger, I could spin on merry-go-rounds and tire swings forever and it didn't make me dizzy at all. Whew. Now I'm 40, goodness gracious, that kind of rocks my world a little bit. But coming back to my origin of that, because I've learned a new lesson. Again, back so long ago, I did include that shortly after I had recorded my video on your life spinning out of control, that if you keep your eyes focused on Jesus, you're gonna find a foundation that's solid and secure. I went back with my family towards home, and as we got into the S-curve of Hunter's Way heading back to our house, there was one of those, I don't even know what to call them, but it tells you what your speed is to help you to know to slow down. Lots of people speed through Hunter's Way, go way too fast. It's 25, and so there's one of those big signs that said, your speed is. My family, we started being silly. We noticed as we pushed the double stroller towards the sign that it would read our speed. It was like 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, 5 miles an hour. So we started running towards the sign to see how fast we could run. I parked the double stroller with Charla, my wife, and got down the street and took off. And I was gonna sprint to see just how fast I could run towards the sign. It was cold. It was in October, just like it is now. And I hadn't warmed up. I just went straight cold. I had shorts on. I'd been pushing the double bob stroller, which is super hard on your hamstrings, as I found out later from my physical therapist as I was rehabbing my hamstrings. Hint of what is yet to come. And as I started sprinting towards the sign, it wasn't reading my speed, and so I was like, you have to go faster, which was not intelligent because it was reading our speed at 4 miles per hour as we were walking. Put it together, pal. I was full on sprint and decided to kick in the afterburners, and when I did, I wound up pulling both of my hamstrings, bilateral tear, one step, and then when I went to recover and whip my left leg forward, my right one popped first, and I whipped my left leg forward, bam, it popped too, and I tore both of my hamstrings at one time. Incredibly painful, incredibly painful. As I started panicking, oh my gosh, what does this mean for my family? Am I gonna be able to work? Am I even gonna be able to walk for the next couple of weeks? That message that I recorded on the tire swing came back to serve me, that my life was spinning out of control. And I remember that word, that revelation on the tire swing came back to me, and it helped me to find a stable place in the midst of that swirling mess. I remember as I pulled up on the speed limit sign that was saying your speed is, man, I was hanging on for dear life. Oh my goodness, I was in so much pain. I was holding on to the sign just so that I didn't pass out. And Charlotte was asking me, honey, what is going on? Like, why, what did you do? She thought I was just being silly because I'd ran so hard, was getting old, I was out of breath. But remember, I sat right down here on this power box and just sat down, was just desperate, didn't know what to do. I knew I'd popped them, but I sat right here on this power box and I just kept declaring, God, you are in control. You're in control. God, give me peace. I don't know what I'm doing, but please give me peace. Oh, I remember just so much swirling, so much fear. It was all that I could do to just hold on to that declaration that I'd made not even 25 minutes earlier. When I was finally able to help Charlotte understand that I had popped my hamstring, she's like, oh no, honey, what do we do? And so I got the double bob stroller, held onto the bar, walked home, and it was everything that I could do just to get home. But long story short, my friend Scott prayed for me, and I was immediately and miraculously healed. Right after I was healed, we made a Facebook Live video. I wanted to give a testimony of what God had done and let other people know the power of God and bear glory to Him of what He had done in my life. That was 2 years ago this week. On the exact day that I posted my testimony video of God having healed my hamstrings, all day while I played with the girls, we went out and went for bike rides and played around, jumped around, my hamstrings started hurting. They felt weird. The spots where I had tore my hamstrings started to hurt. And throughout the day, I kept thinking back to my injury. I wasn't aware of the time at that point, the season that I was in. And I began to think, oh man, my hamstrings got torn. I'm getting older, I'm 40 now. Maybe they're just gonna go out. Maybe the healing is not gonna last. And my hamstrings, while they were feeling strange and hurting, I started entertaining thoughts of fear and questioning what God had done. But I continued to stay strong in what God had done in the revelation. I kept saying, nope, I'm not gonna give into that. This is what God did, and my hamstrings are strong. Out of the end of the day, as I was just getting done with the day, was sitting around on my cuddler and was getting ready to go to bed, I whipped open Facebook, and hallelujah for Facebook memories. My Facebook memory for the day popped up, and it was the memory of my testimony video with Scott. Oh, what are the chances? How beautiful. Number one, that on the day of God acting 2 years previously and supernaturally healing my hamstrings, that on that day, my hamstrings would start hurting. And I'd be tempted with fear and unbelief to to doubt the healing. That is darkness working against the revelation of God. And throughout the day, I kept pressing in and saying, nope, Father, I am relying on what you did. I was encouraging myself, meditating on his testimony, and that I was having a hard time breaking through, and then Facebook memories came back as the remembrance of testimony, the video that I had made. And there I was sitting in the chair, just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, a grin plastered on my face so full it was actually making my cheekbones cramp, declaring what God had just done on the exact 2-year anniversary of my healing. Incredible. In that space and time, friends, what God taught me was that every time that revelation is given, every time that God speaks and declares his truth, that questions will come that are equal to or greater than the revelation in order to challenge the revelation, to discredit it, to discredit the voice of God, his truth, and to get us to step outside of what God has spoken to be true. My encouragement to you is that in this time and season of so much swirling, that we have COVID, we have the presidential elections, we have racial tensions, we have lots of things that are spinning in the world, and then there's the spin of social media and all the opinions of man and this study and that study. Well, I know the real truth. Well, did you really know? Let me inform you. And there's just this swirl of darkness and principalities and lies, and they're working overtime to get our lives to spin out of control. My encouragement to you is that today you would orient yourself to the revelation of God, to his truth over you and in your life, the truth of his word written, the truth of his word spoken in real time through the Spirit, that you would orient yourself to his word and meditate on it. You would turn your face towards him. You would focus on him and the throne of God. And that all of that spin, all of the swirl of the news and your fears and insecurities or whatever is working in your life, you would root it to the testimony of the resurrection. That we still have an enemy in this world, that the last enemy to be defeated is going to be death. And Jesus revealed that he has power over death. Fact. 10 out of 10 people die. That's a fact. But Jesus' truth, the truth of heaven, trumps facts. Fact is, 10 out of 10 people die, but the truth of God is that we will be raised with Christ. He is the resurrection. So the revelation of Jesus' triumph over death in the resurrection is being challenged by the question of death's power. Perfect example. So the worst thing that can happen in this life is that you get a bad case of the death and die. But if the worst day on earth of dying becomes my best day in eternity in heaven, being raised with Christ, then what do I have to fear? So all the swirl of the lies of darkness that you could get COVID and die, and if such and so doesn't get into office, then the whole world is going to be destroyed. It's going to go to hell in a handbasket. And those situations are usually accompanied with lots of facts of why this is definitely going to happen to you. That all those facts come around you to make your life swirl out of control. Here's the truth. Our future is in the hands of God. I may not know what tomorrow holds, but I do know who holds the future. Out of that reality of God's truth in our life, that he's triumphed over death, he is the resurrection and the life. The spin doesn't have anything against me, can't rob me of what God has done in my life, that I can orient myself to the testimony of what he has done. His Spirit comes and reminds us of everything that Jesus has taught us and has done. So good. definitely a bit of a complex thought, but God's goodness is so amazing that on the day of the 2-year anniversary of me receiving supernatural healing, that darkness would come against me to challenge my healing and to beset me with fear and oppression, with lies and insecurity. But God and our Comforter, the Spirit of truth, our remembrance would come to me through something as innocuous as Facebook memories, that I planted a testimony, and that in the fullness of time, when I needed the most, that the Holy Spirit brought back the testimony of my Father's goodness to encourage my heart in the spin of my life in fear and doubt and insecurity. That is extraordinary, but also extraordinary. It's supernatural. Man, it's the most natural thing in the world, our Father's goodness. I hope this encouraged you, friends. Whatever you're facing today, orient yourself to Christ. The revelation of his power by the power of the Spirit is triumph over the death, and our Father's word over your life. If you subscribe to what I am doing, hit the button. Hit it and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. And if you loved this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on your day. I love you guys lots, and I will see you in the next video.